We are trying to present in just 10 minutes an overview of some developments which are going on in Italy. This presentation is not meant to be exhaustive, complete. We just collected a few things which looked interesting to us, and we sent a few emails and small questionnaires to ask the protagonist of this project to tell us something more, but of course this is just a very partial overview. We are going to go through some projects actually exposing some data, mentioning some research projects dealing with public sector information and open data, talking about some community-based projects, and giving a few hints about small and medium enterprises starting to do business models based on open data. The first example is a bit of a mixture between top-down and bottom-up approach. Open Camera is offering to the public some data about the expenses of the Italian Chamber of Deputies. So the data come from the Chamber of Deputies, but they have been digitized and put online by a political party, by the Radical Party in Italy. This project is interesting for a couple of reasons. In particular, it's probably the beginning of a process increasing awareness about these issues, and it's also the basic for another project, but we are going to see in a moment in which we add semantic elements to this data. Probably one of the most advanced projects in terms of actually available data is dati.piemonte.it. So this is a data portal from a regional government in Piedmont, in the northwest of Italy. There are several data sets already available, but the project is still in its beta version, so new data are being added regularly. Very soon we should see the first geographic data, which are probably going to be very relevant in terms of actual possibility of doing things, meshing them up. And another interesting feature is that the license for all the available data sets up to now is a CC0, so basically in the public domain as far as this is possible in Italy, and CC BY, so just attribution for the website. Another interesting feature of this project is that there are explicit and detailed guidelines from the regional government in Piedmont. There are some guidelines already in place, and the government is going to approve much more advanced and open guidelines in the next few days. So the project, of course, is led by the local government, but there are local research center and consortia involved. Another project that we wanted to mention is this Mia PA, so My Own Public Administration. The project is still very new. The idea is to geolocalize some public services, front desk in particular, giving you the location, opening hours, and so on. It's worth mentioning also because the project uses this brand new Italian open data license. Actually, as many of you probably read on some blogs, this is not, at least not yet, an open data license. It has no commercial restriction, but it's interesting to see that the Ministry of Public Administration and Innovation in Italy start thinking about open data and starts project together with private companies which are related to open data, and for the moment it seems to us, I mean the open data community in Italy, that they are willing to discuss about this license, and so hopefully we can overcome some of the problems which are already in which are for the moment in this license. Now I leave the floor to Michele for some bottom-up projects.
Good morning. Now the next slides are about the bottom-up projects that are started from the community. I think it's unnecessary to talk about what OpenStreetMap is. We just wanted to mention that the community, the OpenStreetMap community in Italy is quite active, and there are more than 200 active contributors, and this is a rather active community in the open data panorama in Italy. Another bottom-up project is called Linked Open Camera, and it's probably at the moment the only one linked data project in Italy, and it reuses, it's a nice example of reusing data that comes from another open data project, that is the one that Federico has mentioned before, the open camera of the Radical Party. So we took the data from them and we enriched them with data about companies, data about people, and we linked them to the linked data clouds and transformed them in RDF. Another interesting feature is that the project is totally independent from open camera. So it was made just by volunteers, and it started as a game to demonstrate that doing linked open data is very easy, and we did this in like 5 days of work. Another interesting bottom-up project is called Open Policy and Open Parlamento. This is probably the largest open data project in Italy, and is made of 2 web applications that want to increase the visibility of the activity in the parliament. So they collect data about the presence of the politicians in the parliament, their declaration, their votes, and so on. And the data is scraped from official sources and then manually verified. And this is one of the projects in which there is involvement of the users. So users are encouraged to contribute data. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's no API, and they're also doing experiments with linked data. Another important, interesting characteristic of this project is that it's linked to the business model of one of the companies that we'll mention at the end. Now we come to the research project, because we believe that a vibrant landscape is also made by research. So the largest one is probably this OCCAM project, that is a large EU-integrated project whose goal is to build a sort of DNS of the semantic web. So this does not actually deal with open data, but it's an important part of infrastructure and of technology that can be used to build linked open data projects. Another project that is starting soon, and we don't have a website yet, sorry, is the SEMLIB. SEMLIB aims at developing a couple of open source software components that can also be used to do linked open data projects. What they want to build is a sort of web-based semantic annotation system for linking web pages and multimedia objects with the linked data clouds, and also a semantic recommender system based on data coming from the linked data clouds.
So very quickly, I mentioned a couple of our research projects. This legal aspect of public sector information project is another European Commission funded thematic network, but it's coordinated by an Italian institution, Nexus Center for Internet and Society in Turin, and so it's another project helping Italy to deal more with public sector information, and again in Piedmont we have a project called Extracting Value from Public Sector Information, Legal Framework and Regional Policies, which is dealing in particular with the local aspect of open government data and public sector information in general. So there is a strong synergy between these research projects and the moves which are going on in particular in this region in Italy. Of course, you already know very well about CCAN, so I just wanted to mention that there is an Italian chapter of CCAN, and by the way, in the 2nd of December, we are going to have a kind of CCAN party, trying to add many more data sets to this project, which was just started. I want also to mention Datagov.it, which is a group of people involved in various ways in projects, frequently as consultants for the public administration, and they started this project in particular to write down an open government manifesto, of course written in Italian, and which is really speaking a little bit the language of public administration, and of course we hope that this will help quite a lot in terms of awareness, dissemination, and consensus building. And I want also to mention Spaghetti Open Data, which is another bottom-up project which also deals with civic hacking, site scraping, and similar activities. And this is the very last slide, so we are almost done with.
Yes. We just wanted to mention that there are a few companies that we know of, a few small companies that are starting to build business model on top of open data. One of them is Dev.it, which is the company behind Open Police, and their business model is based on analyzing Open Police and Open Parlamento data, and their products and services are targeted to press agencies mostly. Then there's Net7, whose business model is also revolves around open data, and they do consulting and open source development and products for publishing, consuming, and integrating linked open data. And another one is called VSoup. VSoup business model is built around data visualization and infographics, and they of course have a focus on producing data visualization models out of open data. So we just want to end with this one and say that, remark that the open government data in Italy landscape is very much at its infancy. It's very much starting to grow, but hopefully it will grow quickly. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you very much.